I mean, this is pretty much it, right? I always look at game one as kind of like the tone setter. You want to go with your best foot forward. You need to ensure that you don't want to be behind, so to speak. It's like going into a fight. If you want to be the one that gets the nice heavy punch to kind of start things off, as opposed to being punched and you're like shaken up and you're like, oh, whoa, we're in a fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, starting off strong is definitely the best way to go about it. And both these teams, they are looking to be the aggressors. They're looking to be the ones to take the lead, and it fits right into both these teams' playstyles. And if you look at the draft, you've got the Luna and the Jing ban from Impunity, while Loops ban out the Heino as well as the Lady Zen. So a lot of meta bans in the first few picks, but a couple of heroes being left out as well.
Yeah, and Loop's doing their homework. They saw Impunity just absolutely dominate with the Heino, banning it out first. Black had, I believe, a 100% win rate with it. So they were like, okay, this is a respect ban. We need to do this. Plus the Lady Jeanne, of course, knowing that they're going to be giving up first pick to Impunity. So they need to ban that one out, especially since it's such a hotly contested meta hero.
Yep, absolutely. And of course, the players are absolute beasts on those as well. But we have a Mankey being picked up here by Impunity. That's going to be a jungle Mankey. And we will have the Charlotte in the clash lane there for Impunity. So very fast tempo lineup here from Impunity. They want to play fast. They want to end this game early. They are going to be playing into a Zhang Fei as well as a Mai. So that might be a wrench in their plans.
Okay, your Impunity, walk me through the logic, right? You see the Mai, obviously who's going to jump on you. You have the Zhang Fei, the tankiness and all that. But why are you counterpicking with Mankey and Charlotte? What about those heroes kind of like, this is the right, survivability? Like, what is it?
So when you're playing against the Mai, especially like an aggressive hero like the Mai, the one way to stop her from jumping at you is by jumping at her, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
So instead of the Mai being able to pick her fights, knowing when she can go in or out, now you're forcing her to fight, and she's not very tanky. She doesn't have a lot of survivability. Mobility, yes, but she's not very survivable. She excels from poking at a range and then going for the kill later on. But if you have the Charlotte, you have the Mankey, you're constantly in her face, then Mai is not targeting your marksman. Mai is not targeting your support, and all she's hitting is really towards the front lines, and that's exactly what you want to do against the Mai. Just stopping her from reaching the back lines. She doesn't have AoE. Most of her skills are single target and hits the first unit available ahead of them. So if you put yourself between her and their target, then you're going to really neuter her effectiveness.
Yeah. Okay. No, I totally get the logic, and obviously it's going to be there. But I think if we're looking at the rest of Impunity here, Arlie, obviously you have a lot of mobility, you have the potential for damage. If you're looking more on the Loop side, not really. I mean, the Mai, assuming you have the control, like you were just talking about, how she can get bursted. But Dharma's somewhat of a more tanky, not the super tankiest of types, but doesn't get easily bursted.
Yep.
But this Neza pick, walk me through this one.
This Neza is supposed to be the counter to the Arlie, having that ultimate to be able to chase her down, lock her down, and generally the Neza is a very sticky jungle. He's able to just stick to your opponents, kind of like a Kaiser, where he doesn't rely on stuns, but instead relies on being able to constantly chase down very elusive marksmen like the Arlie, like the Marco Polo. Usually this is the counter pick that we do see. Neza a lot less, just because of the scaling of Neza isn't that great compared to like the Kaiser, but it is a lot more faster pace, which is what Loops is trying to match in terms of tempo against Impunity.
Okay, all right. Neza here with a 33% win rate. I think Arlie was close to 62. So I mean, we've seen a lot more of Arlie, as it's been picked 13 times already. So going into this one where you're kind of like, this is the counter pick with Neza, it seems like all the stars need to align properly to make sure that you do counter the Arlie, because they can just kind of pop off and control the game.
Yeah, like when the counter pick doesn't really do well against what it's supposed to counter, is it really countering it?
No, not in this case.
Lian Po and Princess Frost will be picked up there by Impunity. So that's the team fight that they want. That's the team fight that they have. Looking like so far, at least in terms of the draft, they Impunity has the better team fight just with those two heroes, while Loops is looking like they really want to focus on one target down. You got the Dharma, you got the Neza, both of them jump towards the backline, finish off the Arlie in a single blow, and maybe the Mai just to provide additional damage or clean up. But the game plan is obvious here from the side of Loops. Burst one down, take the team fight from there.
Yeah, and they'll control it to provide a lot of. I mean, this is assuming that they are able to create a lot of space with Mai and Neza just kind of being in your back line, so to speak. Let the Marco Polo or or Sherry here just kind of get that space to farm, because at the end of the day, he can control the game. So now that we know the draft, we know the players. Again, I'm going to ask you, which of the teams has an easier lineup to play?
I'm always going to be favoring the ones with team fights. It allows you a lot more space, a lot more room for error. You get into a bad fight, Princess Force drops the ultimate, suddenly you are in a much better position than you were in before. Same thing with the Lian Po. If you get caught out with one member, suddenly you turn around with the Lian Po ultimate, and then you can take the fight from there. But if you are the side of Loops, you overcommit on a single kill, you don't get the kill, then there's no way back for you. You are all in at that point. So easier execution and just a better draft overall that I feel, it's definitely going to Impunity.
Okay, all right. It's going to be interesting because I think that's going in. I feel like the drafts are somewhat balanced. I don't see like a huge edge. I think it's going to come down to the player movement and just the overall play of the teams, the execution. Yes, that's the perfect word. Yeah. So I like in this case, like if you're looking at Megumi, just kind of creating space, but I think Impunity need to do that a little bit more. They need to be a little bit more aggressive to ensure that they've got a lead going into that mid game.
Absolutely. If they get a lead, or even if they just match the net worth, match the tempo that Loops is trying to do, then they're really good going towards the mid game. But if they fall behind too much, then we might see Loops just start to snowball out of control here. Arlie, one of the highest pick rate, she is the highest pick rate marksman, and the highest win rate there as well, for very good reason. Scales very well towards the late game, plays very well in the mid and early game, and almost impossible to catch a good Arlie player because she's just so elusive with the parasols.
Yeah, it just makes it very difficult. But look at Megumi going all the way in, slams out, uses the Magma Slam, but they've already put pressure. Okay, in the top lane, it looks like they've gotten Ajing, and he's going to go down and gank with a nice rotation.
Yeah, that was probably on asking there. If you know that your bottom lane and your jungle are rotating down bottom, then you want to play a bit safer behind the tower, but it got caught out a little bit too far away from the tower. The rotation from Mai was perfectly timed. They got the kill, so that's going to allow Dharma to get to that level 4, which is the scariest point of the Dharma, because this is the moment where he can really get solo kills on you.
Yeah, I feel like Ashing was just kind of like, help, they're ganking me. And they're like, no, I got your fam. I'm just going to kill this other guy, then not be able to help you out. But Ashing does go down. It's going to be the first kill of the day. And of course, for Loops, if they're going to put pressure on the bottom lane, and it seems like they're trying to get Sherry as much, a little bit of space to kind of keep themselves going, is Marco Polo the way they want to go, or should it just be some maybe ABH to kind of carry them throughout?
They probably have to play around the Neza at the current stage of the game. The Direnjie doesn't really provide a lot. He's more of the supportive marksman at this point of the game. Deals a bit of damage, provides some good utility, some good stuns. But outside of that, most of the damage, most of the initiation has to be around ABH. So you want to make sure that ABH has a good game. They're setting up rotations, they're setting up ganks for them, and just snowball the Neza from here, because Neza doesn't really do well in the late game. So you gotta play around him at his strongest point.
Okay, so basically you're saying Sherry is pretty much a glorified range creep right now.
At the moment, he has a stun. He has a stun. So he can provide something to the team.
No, totally understand. I mean, Marco Polo takes so much time to kind of get to that level where he can just kind of, blow up the entire team fight. Definitely is super important to let him get that space and that farm to get himself, in a good position to carry late game.
Exactly. He needs 3 items. He needs to get to that point where he starts actually doing a lot of damage. Top lane, Tempest dropping down to half. Neza rotating in top, but the flash coming from X Hero keeps him out of danger, and that's going to be a wasted rotation from the side of Loops. They don't get anything out of that. They don't get a tower, and things continue to slow down a little bit, which will benefit Impunity for now as they get to their next items, which will boost up the next team fight.
Yeah, I mean, ABH there committing the Starfall, or the Skyfall, excuse me. And I mean, all at the cost of X-Zero's flash. So at the end of the day, not the worst thing in the world. He didn't lose any minion creeps in the mid lane or anything. So at the end of the day, not too bad. It's something that you will take. ABH, I feel like there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to make a lot of movements, force Impunity to kind of react to what he's doing, because he can take up a lot of space. And getting in with the Skyfalls at almost a moment's notice is going to be key for him.
Absolutely, he needs to either start the fight or be right behind whoever starts the fight, because he's crucial in setting up those kills for the Dharma. He's crucial for allowing Mai to go in and go out really quickly. But first, Tyrant finally attempted a rather late attempt on towards the Tyrant, but Black should be able to get it without any issues. Shaolin also gets the bottom tier 1 tower, so Impunity, despite a slower start, is able to get some decent objectives across the map.
Yeah, I mean, taking the bottom T1 and taking the Tyrant, and Black was able to solo that. So providing a lot of space for Impunity to make moves elsewhere, right? They have control, or they're trying to take over the enemy jungle. They've definitely forced the issue where now Loops have to play a little bit more defensively, and they're just kind of hugging their mid T1, just trying to stay alive. Yes, Loops has taken the top T1 and putting a little bit of pressure for Asing to kind of make that rotation that way. But again, I think Impunity are doing all right. Yes, they're down 1.3k, but at the end of the day, they're taking what the enemy's giving them.
Yeah, it also doesn't feel like they're down 1.3k. They are the ones playing in their opponent's jungle. Black being a nuisance here, trying to steal the red, but he sees 3 heroes, not going to try and go for it. But just creating pressure across the enemy side of the map. And Black being there knows that, hey, if there's 3 heroes in top, it means that early you can farm however you want in the bottom. You're going to be safe. And that is going to propel the early to a much better farm heading towards the mid game.
Yeah, I'm definitely pushing, and I mean, you're hoping to get as much farm as possible, right? They're pushing it across. Oh, the Magma Slam with a Burst Ram. Mithy, he's probably on the wrong side of this. He's going to be knocked up. The Resplendent Revolver just going to kind of scare them away a bit. Impunity probably aren't going to go for the commitment on this Azure Golem just to go in for, but the nice reroam connecting onto 2, and it looks like they're going to back off under tower, and they do stay alive. But Impunity just forcing the issue and maybe stealing some of the enemy minions here.
This feels a little bit too forced here for Impunity. They're not in the best of positions around the map. Mankey a little bit too early. There was no follow-up, not from the Lian Po. So just a bit more wasted skills. Some more cooldowns here for the side of Impunity. They were looking for more, at least get a kill and then get the mid tier 1 tower. But just jumped the gun a little bit too early. But looks like they are trying to force it once again.
Okay. Now, who do you think has to have the better early game?
It definitely is Loops. They have no way back if they have a mediocre early game, because that means that whatever engagement, whatever single target burst that they try to execute on is not going to be great if they're playing from behind. So Impunity has more ways out even after a bad fight. So Loops is the one on the timer here.
Okay. Putting a little bit of pressure on them. I like it. They're probably tuning in. They're like, oh, Zero's saying we got to go. We got to do this. And they'll probably push this one along. But in the mid lane here, Black here just being like this giant fur ball is so annoying, very tanky, and just providing a lot of space. Loops getting going on here with the Magma Slam, finds ABH. He takes a lot of damage, but the Leaping Savior with the shield will keep him alive. And it looks like Loops, again, just backing off, just taking the enemy minions as they come.
Yep, really just forcing Loops to play together as a team. The level difference will start to grow here for the side of Impunity. Black is, again, in their enemy jungle, really just being, like you said, the annoying furball that you really need to deal with. But you kind of want to just ignore him at the same time because he's not really doing anything. But he's just annoying either way. So yeah. Loops is trying to answer by doing exactly the same thing, but on the other side of the map.
Okay, yes, I agree. Oh, the burst ram, the Tremor Slam actually misses, and he's going to go down. And Sherry will take this one, and they got an X-Hero as well, and Zeri with a double kill thus far, and Xiao Lin is going to be killed, as well as Black, and everything has crumbled for Impunity as they even dive the T2. The Unbridled Outburst is going in, and he's taking it up front, and they get an ace at 8 minutes and 58 seconds.
No one was expecting the damage coming from Sheer. I mean, he basically almost finished off the Lian Po with a single skill and then the follow-up from his ultimate, just basically killed 2 heroes. Huge play there by Sheer, setting up the whole fight for his team, and that allows his team to also get the tier 1 in the mid, tier 2 at the bottom, and do some decent damage to the tier 3 in the bottom lane as well, propelling their lead to 4,000 after a very slow mid game.
Yeah, what a bit of a mistake there. It's one thing to like lose the team fight, but then you lost the entire, the entire squad, and that turned into way more than just, the 5 guys that were killed. But let's check out this replay here. I mean, Megumi thought he was going in and thought he could get onto Zero, but he just turned it around. He just had the damage and just controlled him, and Loops was just all over them. They were like, just chasing after them 5-on-1, not letting Ashin get away, and they ensure that they secured that ace there.
Yeah, that's going to give them the early lead that we said Loops absolutely needed. That is going to put them in a good position, and that gives them another good fight here. X-Hero, Black, and Asing all fall. Shaolin will follow very soon as well, and that just leaves Megumi 1 versus 5 against the world. Can he survive? No, he cannot. Kanks gets the last hit. Another ace, a back-to-back ace here for the side of Loops. Unfortunately, the bottom lane is a bit too far out, but they will still be able to get the mid-tier 2, it seems, and continue pushing down the bottom tier 3 tower.
Okay, what's worse than one ace? It's a second ace, right? They got him back to back right after the first one, and it looks like Loops are just like, okay, we'll take whatever you're giving us, which is everything, and we'll continue to take the second time. And, Impunity are like, hey, if you die, we're gonna die together. It's ride or die together.
Yeah, probably a bit overzealous at that point, trying to get themselves back into the game. They could have played across the map a little bit better. Don't look for fights so early on, because you can check the items of your opponents, and you know that you are 4,000 or 5,000 behind. It's time to slow down the game, not look for another fight immediately after you just lost the fight.
Yeah, but I mean, it's an awkward situation right now. I mean, look at this. Sherry has 9.2k tops across the entire game. Completely. I mean, so many kills already. He's 404. He is not the guy you want to be giving any sort of farm to. So Loops right now in a great position.
Yeah, Marco Polo disfarmed with this lead is a crazy hero scaling towards the late game, and you don't want to play with that. He's just so mobile. He does so much damage at a range, and the pure damage also just melts through the Lian Po, melts through the Mankey. Tempest gets a kill onto Shaolin. The marksman is down here for the side of Impunity. They lose the mid-tier tier 3 tower as well, and things are not looking good here. 4 versus 5, net worth difference. No other way to defend except with their bodies here. They do have the Lian Po. They do have the Princess Frost to potentially turn things around, but they had to take an almost perfect fight.
Yeah, almost perfect one. And the Resplendent Revolver doing a decent amount of chunk damage onto Black. They're going to use the Unbridled Outburst. He's going to cut off the lane of retreat, trying to knock him out. And it looks like the Tremor Smash does go in, but it looks like Megumi's going to be down for the count. The base is wide open, the Dream Roam, but he just runs away. He can't even defend it, and they will take game 1. Loops looking very, very strong.
Yeah, we talked about that potential, that aggressiveness that Loops can really bring with the lineup, and they turned it up a notch. They went from 0 to 100 in the span of 2 minutes, and they were able to just